Good morning, and welcome to worship at Second Parish. Welcome to those of us here in this sacred space, and welcome to the many, no doubt, who are online during this sacred time. Welcome. It's good to be together. There are announcements printed in our order of worship. Simply draw your attention to those. Do be attentive to what's coming up and how you might help out with one thing or another. Yet, if there are additional announcements, I would invite you to come forward and make those from the microphone here. Anyone? Lisa.
Okay, the pumpkin patch is off to a great start as of this weekend. We had a good day yesterday. We're hoping for another good day today. We want to just thank everybody who came out on Thursday in the pouring rain to unload pumpkins. That was pretty epic. We do need one person this afternoon from 3 to 5 to help staff and close down. And then there are empty shifts next weekend as well. So we have empty shifts between 11 and 1 and 1 and 3 on Saturday, and then again on Sunday from 3 to 5. So I think I'm seeing a pattern there on Sundays. Maybe people are home watching football, but if the game's not going well, we could use some help. And then the Pie Crew meets every Friday, so they'll be meeting again this Friday, and that is really unlimited sign up. We had a really great turnout for the pie makers this Friday, and we're hoping for another great turnout for pie makers this Friday, or this Friday coming up. So thank you.
With friends. Any other announcements? If not, may our service begin. We have walked many paths to be here this morning, and those online have walked whatever paths have brought you to this moment as well. We've walked many paths filled with one or another measure of joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, yet each and all of us coming together during this time, and for many of us in this place, and during this time that we share of worrisome events in our nation, in our world, yet we've come together in blessed community for this time of worship, this time of reflection, this time of simply knowing that we are not alone. So may the words and music and peace of this sacred time nourish our souls and reawaken our spirits to serving in the spirit of life and love. It is a beautiful morning. Let's sing to the beautiful morning. Morning has broken, number 38 in your gray hymn books.
Morning,
our chalice lighter this morning. John, Bradine, if you'd come forward to light our chalice. And as you do so, I would invite everyone else to turn, if you haven't yet memorized the new Second Parish Covenant, to turn to the covenant printed in your order of worship, and we will speak these words of covenant together. With love for each other and with respect for each person's search for truth and meaning, we unite to be of service to our neighbors and the larger world. Thank you, John, and thank you all. I would like to invite the children, most of whom are already pretty up front, but come on up front if you're not. Yep, come on up for a little time for all ages, as we call it. You're up front. This is everybody's time at this time. I don't think this is, there we go. Thank you. Well, it's good to see you all this morning. It's a beautiful day. I've been thinking, as I often do, how everything is connected, right? I'm wearing this, it's called a stole, and it's got symbols of the world's religions, and they're sort of woven together with this thread, and it reminds me, and then on the back, it's just all green, beautiful green, reminding me how everything is connected in the natural world, and everything. Sometimes we talk about how nature can be cruel because animals eat each other and so on. That's the way of things. but everything in nature helps each other too. The air that we're breathing now, take a deep breath, to give us oxygen. Where's that oxygen come from? It comes from the trees and the grass and the bushes. And when we breathe out, what are we breathing out? What's one of the chemicals? Air. And what's in the air that we breathe out? It's a great answer. Carbon dioxide. And who loves to breathe in carbon dioxide? Yeah, trees. So we're helping the trees are helping us. It's a beautiful thing. Everything's connected. So I think of all the animals connected to us and to the trees and the plants. It's a beautiful thing. We're going to sing a song that I've sung with you before, with everybody before, and we're going to do a couple of different verses. It's called Under One Sky. We're all a family under one sky. And before we start making up a verse ourselves, here's how it goes. We're all a family under one sky, under one sky, under one sky. We're all a family under one sky. We're a family under one sky. Sing that. We're all a family under one sky. We're a family under one sky. We'll sing it again. We're all a family under one sky. We're a family under one sky. Now this is call and response. I'll sing a line, you sing it back to me. Oh, we're people. We're animals. We're flowers. And we're birds in flight, and we're birds in flight. Oh, we're people, and we're animals. We're flowers and birds in flight. Oh, we're all a family under one sky. We're a can't quite hear ya. We're all a family under one sky. We're a family under one sky. All right. Name me one of your favorite animals. Raise your hand. What's your favorite?
A chicken.
A chicken? A horse? I need two more. A parrot. One more? Chicken, horse, a parrot. Shark. Okay. So, oh, we're chickens. What was the next one? We're horses. We're parrots, and we're sharks too. Oh, we're chickens, and we're horses. We're parrots and sharks too. Oh, we're all a family under one sky. Family under one sky. We're all a family under one sky, family under one sky. That includes all kinds of people. Oh, we're Americans, we're Africans, we're Europeans, and we're Asians too. Oh, we're Americans, and we're Africans, we're Europeans, and Asians too. Last chance. Let's hear it. We're all a family under one sky. We're all a family. We're a family under one sky. So I've just given you an earworm for the rest of the day. It's going to be going through your head, and it's a beautiful thing to have going through your head. We are all a family. We too often forget it, and we ought to remember it. So now we're going to sing all of you out for Sunday Adventures with Pastor Liz. Yay! Let's sing them out, Mark. In your order of worship, it's from the Buddhist Metta Sutta. That means a sutra on loving kindness and compassion. And Susan is going to help by, particularly for the folks online, by reading with you the congregational response in italics. May all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child.
So with boundless heart should one cherish all living beings.
Radiating kindness over the entire world, upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths.
Love unrestrained, freed from hatred and ill will.
Oh, let me hear an amen to that. Beautiful sentiment. Thank you, Susan. Thank you all. During the solo we're about to hear, we're invited to write, if we're so moved, a joy or a sorrow or concern on one of the cards in your pew, and then the ushers will collect them for sharing after our solo. So, our solo. A joy gratitude that I was able to drive through the Berkshires in Thursday's downpour to come to my daughter's house to spend time with my grandchildren. And here you are. Thank you. Oh, I share this one. Joy to have Ken in the pulpit. I'm happy to be here too. It's good to be back up here with y'all. No doubt there are other joys and quite likely sorrows or concerns that we feel in our hearts, and we hold those just as we hold one another in our hearts with care. May we sing together, Spirit of Life, as we remain seated. And we continue now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit and source of life and love, known by many names, beyond all names, be with us as we share this sacred time with one another. And during these high holy days on the Jewish calendar, whether we are Jewish or not, we are all invited to reflect on how we've been living our lives. Words spoken we wish we hadn't. Words unspoken we wish we had. And how we might live more fully aligned with our deepest values. Speak the words of our heart. Do the words, the deeds of our heart. Care for one another. So may we seek this day and always to awaken our sense of kinship with others, with all life, to awaken the love that rests in our hearts as we pray for those caught in the crossfire of war, for immigrants who fear for their safety, for all who are hungry or without a home, as we seek to find ways, however modest, to do our part to help and heal our neighbor, our nation, our world on this dear earth we share. May we now continue our prayers and meditations or reflections in this time of shared silence led by the bell. And may we continue our prayers by saying together the prayer of St. Francis, printed in your order of worship. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, it is in dying to self that we are born to eternal life. Amen. A morning offering each week makes possible our gatherings, makes possible all the ways in which this congregation serves the wider world, makes possible the music that we appreciate and enjoy that enhances each Sunday, that makes possible so much. And so according to our means, may we each give as much as we are able for the benefit of this congregation and all that our congregation does to serve the wider world. Our offering will now be given and received. We give thanks. Our reading this morning will be shared by Susan Weisenbeck. We're making sure she gets her steps in today. Thank you, Susan.
The reading is from A Sense of Wonder by Rachel Carson. A child's world is fresh and new and beautiful, full of wonder and excitement. It is our misfortune that for most of us, that clear-eyed vision, that true instinct for what is beautiful and awe-inspiring is dimmed and even lost before we reach adulthood. If I had influence with the good fairy who is supposed to preside over the christening of all children, I should ask that her gift to each child in the world would be a sense of wonder so indestructible that it would last throughout life as an unfailing antidote against the boredom and disenchantments of later years, the sterile preoccupation with things that are artificial, the alienation from the sources of our strength.
Thank you, Susan. A Sense of Wonder. We're going to sing one more time together. It's number 17 in your gray hymn books, Every Night and Every Morn. 17. I've been reviewing old newsletters from my parish, First Parish in Hingham Old Ship Church, and looking at my musings, as I call them, my musing columns. And quite a number of years ago, in my column, I reflected on this experience. It had been a recent, beautiful morning, bright sun, blue sky, and I went running, as I do most mornings, up to the top of Turkey Hill. I hope most of you have been to the top of Turkey Hill. Those expansive views all the way out to the Atlantic and into Boston, out over the woods and so on. It's quite splendid. Well, I took a breather up at the top just because I just run up the hill, but also to take in the expansive view. And I looked one way towards the just risen sun and over the Whitney and Thayer woods, just beautiful little slice of the Atlantic in the distance. Then I turned my gaze the other way, and I could say, I guess just off the hill, you see Boston, the skyline of Boston. And it was one of those mornings with that ugly brown-orange smog. And it settled over the city. Now, had I chosen to run into Wampatuck Park instead of up Turkey Hill, I wouldn't have seen that second view. I would have simply been embraced by the beauty of the woods, by the blue sky overhead through the and the sunlight filtering through the leaves and so on, all beautiful. But that hadn't been my choice. Instead, I ran to the top of Turkey Hill, looked both ways. I was presented with a more complex picture of the day, and by extension and metaphor, of our lives. You're probably already that far ahead of me. It's not always easy to look both ways in this regard. That is for certain. But just as it is, I think, a matter of safety, it certainly is to look both ways crossing the street. Certainly when you're trying to cross Main Street on a busy morning, that's a matter of safety. But I would suggest that in a real, if slightly different sense, might also be a matter of safety to look both ways throughout our lives. To take in both the beauty and the ugliness, the happiness, the sadness, the griefs, the joys, the good and the evil. Matter of safety. The hymn we just sang quotes the poet William Blake to make the point. I'll read the words. Every night and every morning and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Joy and woe are woven fine, clothing for the soul divine. Under every grief and pine runs a joy with silken twine. It is right, it should be so. We were made for joy and woe, and when this we rightly know, safely through the world we go. Now, we might surely want to argue with Blake's assertion that it is right, it should be so. But there's no denying, is there, that it is so. And what if we understand at a profound level, really take it in, that joy and woe are really indeed woven fine, that life brings unavoidable sorrow and suffering, and too often far more for some than for others. And that life also brings some measure of joy, though too often too little for some. What if we allow ourselves to accept that this is the nature of life, not to rebel and wish it were otherwise, because it isn't. It never will be. Well, it seems to me that accepting that life comes with both joy and woe, that we're not exempt, and we are not exempt from the woe, we may be more likely to live with greater equanimity. It's a beautiful word, and it's a kind of safety, isn't it? Equanimity suggests a sort of safety as through the world we go, not to mention readier with the empathy and understanding and compassion that comes from accepting the fullness of life, and therefore better able to be among the helpers and healers of others, our compassion awakened, because we're all, my brother years ago, we were probably not even in our 20s, maybe in our 20s, confronted my dad with some serious problem that he was having, and Dad said, "Jim, welcome to the human race." That's what I'm talking about, friends. Looking both ways then, a matter of safety, whether on the streets as we walk or in our lives as we live, it seems to me. But it is so human, isn't it, to want to only dwell on the beauty and the love and the goodness in the world. Of course, so human, all too human to be drawn only to comfort and ease. I, for one, love the beauty of a perfect fall day as much as anyone, along with moments in any season to appreciate, to have awakened, Rachel Carson called a sense of wonder in her beautifully illustrated, too, book, A Sense of Wonder. And I treasure my time with those I love. I enjoy a good meal. I savor my favorite tea every morning after breakfast as I sit in my easy chair and read the sports section if it's been a good night for the Sox. I like that. And then perhaps read something else, maybe one of my favorite ancient wisdom texts. And in all of this, I expect I share a kinship with most, if not all of you, as well as a kinship with hobbits. You remember hobbits? How many of you read or went to the movies, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings? Almost everybody, not quite, but I'll tell you a little bit about the hobbits. This summer, I was moved to reread The Hobbit, and then I just kept going through The Lord of the Rings. Couldn't stop. I had read it out loud to our son Adam must be like 30 years ago. Took us years. We took some breaks along the way. It was wonderful. Now, at the outset this summer, when I picked up The Hobbit, I'm not sure really why, it was just there on the shelf, I thought it would be a form of escape from all the troubles in our world, everything we've been going through as a nation, in the world. A little time each day away from the press of the news, whether from Gaza and Ukraine to the assaults on law, the rule of law and democracy, and so on. I discovered before long, though, that rather than an escape from all of that, from the daily news, I was being given a window into some deeper ways of understanding not only what's been going on in our nation and in the world, but also understanding how ordinary folks, most of us, that's like most of us, might choose to and be able to respond to all that's going on. So bear with me. To begin with, within the first pages of The Hobbit, Tolkien, we learn from Tolkien, the writer of course, that hobbits, who are about half the height of humans and who love their comfortable routines, they really love their comfortable routines. From their pipes, they smoke way too much as far as I can tell, to their meals shared with friends. And when the wizard Gandalf shows up at the home of Bilbo, a hobbit, and suggests to Bilbo that he is, quote, looking for someone to share in an adventure, Bilbo will have none of it. He wants him to go away. And he responds, while puffing on his beloved pipe, he responds that, quote, we are plain, quiet folk, and I have no use for adventures, nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. Make you late for dinner. Yet then, as a lot of you know, most of you know, over the course of these 4 volumes and however many movies there were, hundreds and hundreds of pages, we learn how 5 diminutive, that's what they are, comfort-loving hobbits, Bilbo in The Hobbit, and Frodo, Merry, Pippin, and Sam in The Lord of the Rings, how they rise to heroic heights in the midst of all sorts of dangerous adventures, surprising themselves and just about every other non-hobbit as well, including Gandalf, even though it was he who had, after all, set everything in motion when he convinced Bilbo to go on that first adventure. All as these hobbits never stopped yearning for the pleasures and comforts of their hobbit holes back home. And here's one moment in the tale that really highlights how these hobbits have become adept, pretty much in spite of themselves, at looking both ways and living both ways, living accordingly. Halfway or so through Lord of the Rings, Merry and Pippin were part of the conquest of Isengard, a readout of one of the evil characters, Sauron. They were part of that conquest, violent conquest. And afterwards, Gandalf and other members of the so-called Fellowship arrived, and they found Merry and Pippin lounging at the gate to Isengard, smoking their pipes, enjoying the day. And then, after stories were shared back and forth as to what each and all have been doing and what they've experienced, Merry and Pippin brought the others back to the larder of Isengard, which they had, of course, discovered, and they shared a meal and more stories and talk. Merry and Pippin had just lived through a terrible battle, their lives at risk, and they knew there were more dangers and maybe death ahead. But they used this interlude that they knew would be temporary to settle into the comfort that was made possible, that they helped to make possible for themselves, the pleasure of a good meal shared among friends, looking and living both ways. Reminds me of a Buddhist story, maybe some of you know it, of the man who's hanging from a vine at the edge of a cliff, and there's a hungry tiger below, there's a hungry tiger above, and there are 2 mice gnawing at the vine that he's holding onto. But on the vine also is a strawberry. On his other hand, the man reaches the strawberry, tastes, so sweet. He was living both ways at the extremes. So does the example of the hobbits, the fictional hobbits, after all, in their time of struggle against destructive powers of evil, help us to see how we might, in our time, more safely live in our personal lives, to begin with, of course, through this world of joy and woe, woven fine, as well as safely and even with some greater measure of equanimity, live through these days of worry, all kinds of worries for the fate of immigrants, for those in the midst of war, divisive rhetoric and political violence, on and on. The dangers to our great American multicultural experiment in democracy, the threatened earth, rising seas, and heating atmosphere. Does the example of the hobbits in their struggle, looking both ways, help us? I think it does. Just about every day, I, for one, my soul needs a daily time for reflection in the comfort of my easy chair after breakfast, as I said, sometimes other times, surrounded just outside our back windows by the woods that we're fortunate to live in, full of green these days, little color, soon to be multicolored, all while sipping my favorite tea. Did I mention that? I think a little healthier habit than those pipes hobbits were smoking. But at the same time, I know that to be fully human, to fully participate in the life of our nation, in my daily life for that matter, in the human enterprise, in the pageant of life on earth, I need to pay attention to the wider world and to care what's out in the wider world. The hobbits, who had been living a life secluded from the real dangers that were lurking out there, but they weren't paying attention. No internet back then. They were secluded because of others fending off those powers of evil that wouldn't be fended off for long and that would destroy their little world of comfort and ease unless some courageous souls rose to the occasion, became heroic even in spite of themselves. Now, all this does apply as well, as I've been alluding, to our personal lives, not just to the grand pageant of life, looking both ways, helping us to live through our personal challenges and sorrows with a greater measure of equanimity, even a sort of heroism. We've all seen the heroism of people rising to the illness of a dear one or to a death, and we're able to bring more to it than we may have realized we were capable of. I remember so clearly the day my father died almost 40 years ago, and then 25 years after that, the night my mother died. I was racked with grief and tears. Many, if not most of you, have known this dimension of grief. But both days I very soon felt embraced by love of my wife, the rest of our family, caregivers, the nurses who were so kind. Grief and love woven together. Blake's joy and woe woven fine, the silken twine within the grief and pine. I could have chosen to push away the love and just wallowed in the grief, and sometimes we do that. Or I could have chosen to try to pretend that really, everyone dies, everything's okay, no need for so many tears. Or I could choose, as I eventually did, to accept it all, the depth of grief, to allow that, and also the embrace of love, surely to allow that, open my heart to both, all woven together, helping me safely go through the days that were ahead. As I say, most of you have had this kind of experience. It's worth remembering. So looking both ways, eyes wide open, present to the fullness of whatever's happening. Looking always, actually, this way and that way, up and down. We can get so engaged in what's right before us, we forget to look up, where angels may be lurking, as a Mark Aureli song puts it. Angels of what? Our better nature, God by whatever name. Looking up, looking without and looking within for our own inner resources. Looking always can remind us with real force that among much else, we are not alone. We belong to one another, and the extraordinary tapestry of life, as I discussed with the children, can evoke the compassion of the Buddha or Jesus, can evoke our own inborn natural desire to help and heal, whether a dear one or a neighbor, our democracy, our dear earth home. Remember, hobbits were small, and they loved their comfort, their food and drink, their peace, much like us. But they rose to to a heroism that their times and their lives demanded. Nourished by beauty and nourished by love, what Dr. King called the unifying principle of life, love. The unifying principle, nourished by beauty and by love, we too, we can. Whether to meet a personal crisis or a challenge, or to meet the crises of the times in which we live, we can rise. We can rise. So may it be, this day and always. So may it be. We are going to sing a closing hymn with great spirit. At least I invite you to sing with great spirit. It's in your teal-covered hymn book. We are building a new way. It moves, it rocks, and we can do the same. Number 1017 in our teal, soft-covered hymn book. That's spirit. Building. May we be awake each day to the beauties around us, to the love around us, to the love within our hearts. May we never fail to pay attention also to the needs around us, needs that we might have a part in filling, the needs of others, the needs of our friends, our neighbors, our dear ones, our world. Yes, aware of the blessings that we are fortunate to have in our lives, may we turn and make of our lives a blessing to others, a blessing to life. May it be so. Amen.